Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So it's been a while since I've filmed. It's probably been about 2 weeks. I know you guys don't really notice that because I did actually manage to pre-film some videos before I went on vacation, but it's been about 2 weeks since I've sat down and filmed, so this feels a little strange. Kind of missed it a little bit. The reason I pre-filmed was because my family and I just went on a trip to Disney World and Universal, and we had a blast, and my son absolutely loved it. And it was kind of perfect timing. It was kind of strangely coincidental that I ended up at Disney and on the Peter Pan ride right as this was delivering to my doorstep. So this is the new Besame Mermaid Lagoon collection, which is their Peter Pan collection. I did not purchase all of the pieces because, like, as I keep mentioning, I'm trying to be really picky about the items that I'm purchasing just because I'm spending a lot of money, but also I'm getting a pretty big collection, so I'm trying to make sure that I don't buy things that I already have or that don't appeal to me. Now, the exception to that is Hot Topic palettes because those things are dirt cheap and I just have a lot of fun reviewing them, so I'll buy every single one that I see that looks anywhere entertaining. But the Besame products, while I do believe are incredibly great quality and I love Besame, they can be a little pricey, so I do have to be a bit more picky about how much I spend so I don't break the bank. So what I chose to get was the eyeshadow palette and the bronzer. So Besame seems to have a really great relationship with Disney. They had the Snow White 1973 collection that they released for Snow White's 80th anniversary. They now have this Mermaid Lagoon collection, which is being released for Peter Pan's 65th anniversary. And they're also releasing a little lipstick duo for Mickey's 90th birthday. So they keep doing these type of anniversary style releases, all based on these classic Disney movies or Mickey and turning 90. But the thing that I love about the movies is that they always base it off the Pantone colors that were used in the movie itself. My absolute favorite piece is this book that they released. This was kind of the limited edition. This was the Snow White 1973 collection. This was the book that they created. And it's so, so gorgeous. And then the shadows in it were based off the Pantone colors, and it actually has the Pantone colors listed over here. I love this piece and I love the quality of the shadows, but this is definitely a collector's item for me. And I'm really, really hoping that this whole Disney relationship continues because I have my heart set on a Sleeping Beauty collection. And I know, in the beginning of the Sleeping Beauty movie, they have that, beautiful looking book that unfolds that tells the story. So Besame, if you're watching, can you make a beautiful Sleeping Beauty style book palette? Because yes, I would buy that in a heartbeat, and I think a lot of people would. I love Sleeping Beauty. That's one of my favorite Disney classics. So let's get into the details about this collection. So like I mentioned, this is for Peter Pan's 65th anniversary. So what they chose to do is the Mermaid Lagoon, which I do like. I think the mermaids are so beautiful in Peter Pan. I do still think it's a little bit strange because I think they could have easily gone with just a Neverland themed collection, and that would have made a bit more sense to Peter Pan because the mermaids weren't that big of a part of Peter Pan, although they are beautiful. So I'm not complaining too much. I just know a lot of people thought that was strange, and especially when they started teasing Bubbles, I thought they were doing a Little Mermaid themed collection, which I would have also loved because Little Mermaid is also one of my favorite Disney classics. But yeah, so instead we get the Mermaid Lagoon collection from Peter Pan. Still very beautiful. Top-notch packaging as usual. That is always a thing that Besame excels at. They have the most gorgeous packaging. I mean, you don't even want to throw away a box. So this is just the outer box. On the back it shows you your colors. It actually folds up, and right here you have this beautiful artwork from Peter Pan, and it shows you the Pantone colors. So that's the one thing that is so unique about the way that Besame does these collections, is they try to stay as true to the Pantone colors from the actual film cells as they can possibly be with these eyeshadows, with the lipsticks. This is what the actual palette looks like. Super, super beautiful. I do love the way they did this. This is called the Treasures of the Lagoon Shadow Palette. And then let me show you the inside of the palette. You do get a brush this time, and then if you can see, the mirror has a cute little mermaid right there. And it is separated into a quad of 4 shimmers and 4 mattes. And I will say the one thing about Besame's shimmery shadows is they feel really creamy. I do feel like these are the kind of shadows that are best applied with your finger and then maybe get into some details with a brush, but they are super creamy. It's almost like they feel like a cream, but they're not. It's insane. But I remember that from the Snow White palette. And when I swatched these to do my Instagram photo, it was the same thing. I was very impressed. So the other item I purchased is the bronzer. So this is what the outer packaging looks like. You actually can see into the compact right here. On the back, you have a gorgeous little mermaid hanging out. And then this is the compact. It's fully, 3D. It's so beautiful. It's got a good weight to it. It doesn't feel too cheap. It's called the Golden Sand Bronzer Compact. And this is what the color looks like, and hopefully you can see the little design in there. And then there's a little detailing around the mirror. I know I saw some comments on their posts about the bronzer and people were wondering why they only released one shade, why they didn't release more than one shade. And what they have on their website is that this is meant to be a bronzer for lighter skin tones or a finishing powder for deeper skin tones. It can be used like as a multi-use powder basically, but the color here was mirrored after the sands of the Mermaid Lagoon. That's what they did. So again, this goes into that whole Pantone color. They're not just making bronzers. They do have a whole line of powders and things like that in different skin tones just in their regular lines. But when they do these unique Disney collections, they are specifically sticking to colors in the film, and so this is the color of the sand, and it is a multi-use powder that can be used as a bronzer or like a setting powder. I do have the Agent Carter translucent dusting powder, and I absolutely love this for setting my under eyes. So this I think would be a really great powder, like I said, for bronzing, that's what I'm gonna use it for, or for setting your makeup if you have a darker skin tone, because there is no shimmer in it at all. It is just a nice little powder. So we'll see how dark it comes off on my cheek when I use it as a bronzer, because I don't have any bronzer on, I just have a little bit of contour. So, and of course I forgot to tell you guys prices. So the 8-pan palette retails for $48 and the bronzer compact that I purchased retails for $38. All right, so let me go ahead and show you guys swatches and then I will do a quick eye look. All right guys, these are the swatches right here. I am not gonna go through and give you the names because they aren't fun, cutesy names. It is literally just the Pantone color names. I did want to mention that all of the shimmers were just one swipe with the finger with the exception of this kind of iridescent shade right here. I did kind of rub back and forth on that one. The mattes, these were just 2 swipes and these right here were 3 swipes. I do find that these two came off a little bit more sheer, which I actually prefer. When I was using the detail brush on my eye in the look that I did that you'll see in a second, it was very, very pigmented when I was using a detail brush, a bit more concentrated. And then when I dipped in with a fluffier brush, it became a little bit more light, a little bit more sheer. And I like the fact that you can use that to really control the intensity of these types of shades. So I'm very happy with them. Jumping right into the yellow shade, I'm not gonna give you guys the Pantone colors, I'm just gonna tell you the shades. I'm putting this on the inner portion of the crease area using the brush that came with the palette. Then jumping into the orange shade, I'm putting this on the center of the crease area. This brush that came with the palette is really nice for a detailed blending brush to use right in that crease portion. Perfect for a look like this where you wanna be very concentrated with the colors. Now with the lighter of the pinks, I'm adding this to the outer portion of the eye. So I'm starting by just laying down this color in the crease, and then I'm starting to bring it down a little bit more. And then I'm basically starting to sketch out somewhat of a wing, I guess you would say. I'm gonna take my blending brush now and go back over all 3 of those colors and just lightly blend the colors upward a little bit, as well as over the next one, just so they blend together a little bit better. And now with the deeper pink shade, I'm using a dense blending brush just to stamp this onto that outer portion of the eye to darken it up a bit. And now with that frosty blue shimmer shade, I'm using this on a flat, completely dry brush, and I'm basically just cutting the crease or sketching out what a cut crease would look like without any concealer underneath it. This color was amazing all on its own. And then with that kind of iridescent white blue shade, I'm using my finger just to pat that over the top. I just thought it kind of gave a nice little oomph to that blue shade. For the lower lash line, I'm starting out with the dark green on a pencil brush, and I'm adding this to the outer half of the lower lash line. And I'm also sketching a little bit under where my wing will go. And then with the lighter green, I'm using this on the inner portion of the lash line. And then with whatever's left on my brush, I'm just kind of running that underneath the colors to blend them down a little bit. And then back into that kind of whitish iridescent blue shade and packing this onto the inner corner for a fun highlight. Lashes and liner off camera. And now I'm gonna finish off the eyes with a green pencil in the waterline. This is Teaspoon from ColourPop. Now I'm using the Golden Sands bronzer to bronze up my cheeks and my forehead. This is a nice bronzer, but it's definitely a little bit lighter than I'm used to, so I did have to build it up a little bit. And then I'm using the lighter pink shade on a kind of fluffy brush that I use for my blush. And I'm very lightly tapping this onto the cheeks. And I just thought this color turned out so beautiful as a blush shade. For highlight, I'm using the shade Luna from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Aurora Glow Kit. And then for lips, I'm starting out with the shade Sleepy. This is a Besame color from their little mini Snow White lipstick collection. And then I'm using the shade Bashful just to kind of pat over the outer portions and blending it in with my fingers just to deepen up the pink a little bit. And there you have it. Alright guys, so this is the finished look. I didn't exactly set out to use every color in the palette, but that's kind of what I ended up doing. I used all 8 shades in some form on my eyes, and I absolutely love the way it turned out. I do think that it's not necessary to do every color and go this crazy with a look. I think this palette actually would work really well for some simple 2 to 3 shadow looks, and maybe I will do something like that for Thanksgiving and post something on Instagram on Thursday, either Thursday or Friday, using maybe just 2 or 3 of the shadows from this palette because I absolutely love the colors in this palette. I'm not surprised that I love the formula because I already had 2 previous eyeshadow palettes from Besame, actually 3, and I loved all of them, and the formula to me has not changed. The shimmers still feel the same. I was wrong about them being better with a finger. I do think they work nicely with a finger, but using them with a really flat brush and being able to kind of rub it across the lid worked just fine. I did not spray that brush at all, and this pigment is intense. So I definitely recommend Besame's eyeshadows 100%. I say that every single time. They do not disappoint, but I think so far this is probably one of my favorite color schemes that they've come out with. I was also really surprised and happy that I was able to use the lighter pink as a blush. It was kind of just a last minute thought. I was like, hey, why not try it? And I was very light-handed with my blush brush just in case it ended up too pigmented, but I think it ended up being a really nice color and it tied everything in very beautifully. As far as this powder goes, as you can see, it worked just fine for me as a bronzer. So if you are my skin tone or more fair than me, I think it would work fine as a bronzer for you. When I was using it, it kind of reminded me of like the Hula Light shade that they came out with. It's definitely a lighter bronzer than I normally use, but I will get use out of this. I like it. I do think that if you are in the market for a finishing powder and you are a darker skin tone, either a tan or a deeper skin tone, I think this could work really nicely as maybe like an under eye brightener. Just like they recommended as a finishing powder, because I do have, like I mentioned, the Agent Carter powder, and it's like a kind of like a white, off-white, kind of slightly yellowed powder, and I do love using this under the eye. Their powders are really nice. I just love the way they are on the skin. But yes, I do understand this is a bit pricey, so if you're not in the market for it, I wouldn't recommend it. For the lips, I ended up doing a combination of Bashful and Sleepy from the Snow White little mini collection. I thought about doing Dopey, which was the kind of iridescent white shimmery shade, but I just wanted something a bit more pink with this. And I do feel like when you combine these two together, it does get pretty close to the pink shade that they released with the Mermaid collection. It's not an identical match, but it's fairly close, and I think it complements the eye look just fine. And it did the job as far as what I wanted to do, which was use some Besame products that I already owned, because I did not end up spending the money to buy the additional lipsticks that I really didn't need in my collection. But yeah, that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this review and tutorial. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe before you go, and thank you for watching. Bye guys.